Namaskar and welcome to In Focus. When former Prime Minister Chandra Shekhar called for the dismissal of the Vajpayee government, he stirred a hornet's nest of controversy and set in motion a series of political realignments which could very well achieve his end. Today, in an exclusive interview to In Focus, he explains why he made that call and how he sees the developments that lie ahead. Mr. Chandra Shekhar, a lot of people were very surprised when you publicly and outspokenly asked the Vajpayee government to go. Do you think as a former Prime Minister and as an elder statesman, this was a fitting thing for you to do?
I thought this was my duty, this was my responsibility to the nation. Because during all these days, this government has not governed this country. This government is just surviving. And a government which always in search of survival, to remain in power anyhow, cannot solve the problems that nation is facing today. Rather, they are creating more problems, and the problems that are going to be unsurmountable should be known by the people, because it is our responsibility and duty to tell the people what is in store for them in future.
I want to explore with you why you think this government is not governing. But first, let me put this to you. If you really thought the situation was serious, why did you not have a quiet word with Mr. Vajpayee? Why did you not share your advice with him rather than criticize him?
The whole problem is that I don't give unsolicited advice. Mr. Vajpayee never took the trouble to communicate with me on any issue. Since he became Prime Minister, I have not talked with him even on telephone. So how can I give my advice to him? It is not for me to go to the Prime Minister and give unsolicited advice. I have never done in my life. I am not going to do it now.
Okay, many people say that you made this call that the Vajpayee government must go because in a sense you were angling for a position for yourself. Do you regret making it?
No, not at all, because that charge has been leveled against me for many years, and you think that it has always proved to be wrong, because many people, at least you know that I would have been in government somewhere long back in last end of the 60s, but I never aspired for any position in the government. So far, at this stage, I am not angling for anything, but this type of vilification campaign is not going to stop me saying what I think to be correct.
Okay, I want you to say what you think to be correct. Therefore, I want to explore with you what you think has gone wrong with this government. They've only been in power for 3.5 months. It's not even 100 days or 150 days. Why have they reached this low point in your estimation?
Because this government has been in search of some issues on which they could get the popular support. This was the government which was trying to arouse the emotions of the people around certain problems, and they tried to implement those issues, and that is going to be disastrous for this country. If you see from any angle, this government has done nothing to solve the problems, rather it has created more problem on every front.
I suppose for most people, the leadership of a government is identical to the quality of leadership of the Prime Minister. Where's Mr. Vajpayee gone wrong?
I don't want to make any comment about Mr. Vajpayee, but one thing I shall like to say, and I am not saying this to Mr. Vajpayee. You remember when I resigned from the government, many friends thought that I was in haste to resign. But at that time I said that the position of the Prime Minister cannot be bargained. I could have remained in government after making certain compromises.
You think he's bargaining?
No, I am not saying anything, but every day you see one or the other controversy being raised by the alliance partners, and compromises are being made at the cost of the very prestige and dignity of the office of the Prime Minister. This should not be done. Anyone who is in this chair, he should be respected by the people. At least his words should carry weight. If not with the people, at least with the alliance partners.
Let me put it like this. Has the authority of the Prime Minister, not his image, but has the authority of the Prime Minister been damaged by the way Jayalalitha or Mamta treat him?
I don't know about Jayalalitha and Mamta, but unfortunately the authority of the Prime Minister has not been established from the day one, and it has been, there is no question of getting eroded. There is no authority of this Prime Minister. That is the most unfortunate thing, and this is why I was forced to make that statement.
Okay, why do you think that is the case, that this Prime Minister has no authority? Is it because he's too soft and accommodating? Is it because he's indecisive? Or is he simply the wrong man at the wrong time?
I don't think he is not a wrong man. I have great respect. I want to tell you very frankly about Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and I had great expectations from him as the Prime Minister of this country. But this Prime Minister is not able to take his own decision. He does not make his own view known to the people of this country. And it seems that certain people are forcing him like a pendulum. One day in the one side, the other day in the other side.
So in a sense, you're suggesting that he is not his own man.
You can use that word, but I am not going to use that word. But he is under the influence of people who don't understand the complicated problems of this country, and it is not expected of a Prime Minister. The Prime Minister should stick to his views, howsoever unpopular it may be in certain circumstances.
This is a very serious charge you're making. People are bound to say that you should not make this charge without having thought it through. Who are these people who are influencing or pushing him?
I give only one example to you. One day the Prime Minister made a statement that about the construction of Ram temple in Ajodhya, he will go by the decision of the Supreme Court. The same evening, the spokesperson of the BJP said that if the Supreme Court decision goes against the wishes of the people, they will go for the amendment of the Constitution or amendment of the Act. So I don't think this is how the government can run.
You're in a way suggesting that the Prime Minister doesn't even control his own party.
This is what is the impression is, at least on me, and I think that this impression is being shared by the most of the people in this country.
You said, Mr. Chandra Shekhar, a moment ago that you had great expectations of Mr. Vajpayee. Are you saying that he has disappointed you, or are you also saying that he's the victim of circumstances beyond his control?
I can't say it, but I think, as I know Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, I think he seems to be a victim of the circumstances. And he is not in a position to do what he wants to do or thinks should be done.
So he's a prisoner in a sense of circumstances.
I can't say that prisoner in the sense, but there may be certain compulsions, because for everybody situation changes according to his own appreciation of the situation in which he has been put in.
Let me put two questions to you on this, and then I'll move to another subject. People will be listening to you with great interest because you are a former Prime Minister, and they will be saying, Chandra Shekhar-ji does not say these things without having thought them through. Are you in a sense saying that he is a weak Prime Minister?
I can't use that word that he is the weak Prime Minister. He is indecisive Prime Minister, and the decisions that he has been taking during last 100 days now, it seems that it is without going into the deeper implications of those decisions and what will be the result of those decisions that they are going to take.
So he's indecisive and the decisions are superficial.
Decisions are without a plan, without thinking, without understanding the wider implications or deeper implications of the decisions if they are implemented.
My last question, because I want to now talk about the decisions after that. You've seen Prime Ministers in trouble before. You've worked very closely with some, you've helped many of them. Is Mr. Vajpayee's Prime Ministership beyond redemption, or are there things he can do to get back on the rails?
The whole thing that Mr. Vajpayee is heading a party which is not a political party. This thing people don't understand. BJP is a wing of the RSS. RSS people don't aspire for the political positions. They aspire for political goal that they have charted for themselves. I don't want to raise another controversy. And the RSS behaves in a particular person.
So does this mean that Mr. Vajpayee's Prime Ministership now is in terminal problems and trouble and it can't be put right?
I can't say that, but you know what the RSS people has been saying. Even today, Vishwa Hindu Parishad people have said that this question of temple in Ajodhya is not a political question. It is not a legal question. It is a spiritual question, and God is above everything, above constitution, above courts.
So every time the PM says something, bigger forces, more important forces behind him?
No, because nobody can be bigger than God, and if people believing in God, they think that they are saying the last word. The Prime Minister words are to be subdued to those words that are being said from the higher pulpits of the Sangh Parivar.
Okay, Mr. Chandra Shekhar, I want to talk about some of the decisions that you say this government has taken wrongly. We haven't got time for all of them, but there is one very important one that I think I know you're very concerned about. I know you think that the decision to test at Pokhran was the wrong decision. But let's look beyond that. Have they handled the consequences of that decision badly also?
No, they have not thought about the consequences. And the saddest part of it is that even now they are saying that nothing will happen. The same happened in Pakistan. Mr. Nawaz Sharif had to explode the bomb. But at least it told the people of his country that you are going to face difficult time. There will be economic problems. There will be difficulties being shared by the people of that country. So you should go for austerity. We should take some measures so that we can stand on our own.
And here they say there is no problem.
There is no problem. Sanctions are not going to have any impact on our economy. They are going to say that it is a short-lived problem. And
is this dishonesty, or is this an inability to realize that there are problems?
No, this is their inability to understand what they have done and what is going to be the consequences of their deeds.
One of the major consequences that we're seeing is that after the nuclear explosions, Kashmir, which was a bilateral problem between India and Pakistan, has become an international issue, and the whole world now is interested in making sure India and Pakistan solve it. Are you scared that Kashmir has become internationalized to our disadvantage?
I am not scared, but I feel sad about it. Karan, you have raised a very good point. And just in the beginning, you said that certain people say that why should Chandra Shekhar say this thing? But for last 50 years, Pakistan was trying to get support of one nation to make Kashmir an international issue. At least they should be able to find some person who could say that there should be third-party intervention in Kashmir.
You're saying India has done it for them now?
No, India has done for them. Because there was not one nation, not one Islamic country was ready to take this position. Now there is not one country in the world which is going to say that there should not be a third-party intervention.
Are you scared?
This is the greatest achievement of this government. And you think that on such a vital question, a person like me should keep quiet.
So you're actually saying that the government, without realizing what they're doing, has created a situation where the whole world is going to force third-party mediation on us.
I only hope that they are not, they don't succumb to the pressure of the whole world. But that will be a difficult task now. And that is an enormous problem that we have created for ourselves.
One way that we can avoid pressure from outside to mediate is if we take some initiative ourselves to solve the Kashmir issue. Do you think there is one or two initiatives that you now believe the Prime Minister should take?
We should take the initiative to correct this mistake. And the Prime Minister should go to Pakistan and said that let us take the initiative now that we have been calling the world not to have the arm race, at least atomic war arm race. So the world should be free from atomic weapons. We are in a position to say that we can also weaponize ourselves, but we are going to take the lead that let us all of us put our heads together and take a decision that by a time limit we shall make the whole world free from
Chandra Shekhar Sahib, you said something very important. You said the Prime Minister should go to Pakistan, a little bit like Sadat went to Israel, that he should actually take a major political step to show the world we are serious.
No, I tell you, after the partition, Mahatma Gandhi said that after Noakhali, his first step will be to go to Lahore, to tell the people that though we have divided ourselves, though India has been partitioned, but we are from the same family and we should work together.
You're saying the same thing. Mr. Vajpayee should now go to Lahore, go to Islamabad.
If he can muster this courage and if he can be free from the advice from the people who are giving him advice today, they think that just by raising slogans and emotions in this country, they will be able to win the whole world. But that is not going to happen.
I'm making you repeat it because I think this is a very important thing you're saying, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand. You're saying that the Prime Minister should muster the courage and go to Lahore and take a political initiative with Nawaz Sharif to settle the problem.
I have told it, I am repeating and again. It is not the courage, the question of courage. Being the bigger nation, it is our responsibility also. And the Prime Minister should realize now that by this one action, we have isolated ourselves in the international world, and the only way open for us is that we should try to make up with Pakistan if we want that no third-party intervention should be allowed in this subcontinent.
One last question for this part. There is a debate in the country today whether India should now be prepared to discuss, just discuss, the issue of line of control. One reality is that they control POK, we control the valley. Should we now at least discuss making this a border? What's your opinion?
This is another question you have raised now, because one of the important persons of the BJP perhaps said this thing to you or some TV channel.
To us, and Mr. Barnala agreed with him. Mr. Barnala also said this.
And I tell you, a lot of controversy was there on that, and the particular gentleman for whom I have great regard had to withdraw his words, and contradiction came from the Prime Minister and from the party concerned. But I don't understand this panicky reaction, because it is not for the first time this matter is being brought to discussion, but on an earlier occasion this was discussed between Pakistan and India, and there was almost an understanding at that time that
1971 Indira Gandhi Bhutto.
Bhutto. That at that time happened, and it was publicized, it was known by everybody, but nobody, neither Indira Gandhi nor Bhutto.
You're saying that the Prime Minister, if need be, should not just go to Lahore to talk to Nawaz Sharif, but he should be prepared to talk about this if it's required?
No, what is harm if you want to have some understanding with Pakistan? Can you say that I shall not discuss this matter and I can not discuss that matter? But for discussing that matter, it is not necessary that you should make a prior propaganda about it. But I did not understand what wrong was done by the gentleman when he suggested something like that to you, because it was just a proposal. Discussion does not mean that you should have agreed to it. And this discussion took place earlier also. Nobody raised this hue and cry. This indicates the weakening position of this government. If in 1971 this could have been done and said and discussed, and almost according to some people, we reached to the point of understanding, what was wrong if this suggestion was made?
And what's wrong in reviving it today?
There is nothing wrong in reviving today.
The problem, Mr. Chandra Shekhar, is the government says this issue is politically very risky.
Karan, I don't think that is as risky as they think about it. But one should always remember that no crisis can be solved without taking a risk. One who is not ready to take risk cannot solve any problem.
Mr. Chandra Shekhar, let's take a break at that point. I think you've said a lot of very important things. I want now briefly in part two to look ahead into the future to see how political developments will hereafter take place. But first we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Welcome back. We're talking to former Prime Minister Chandra Shekhar. Mr. Chandra Shekhar, it's now almost 3 weeks since you made your call for the Vajpayee government to go. But even the Congress party, which should benefit, is not keen to help you out. Are you seeing this as a rebuff?
No, there is no question of helping me out. I want to put on record that I did not make suggestion on my own. Some pressmen asked me whether the Congress party, being the largest party, should take the initiative. I said that this is expected from them. If the Congress party does not want to take initiative, it is not my concern.
Are you disappointed that they are not taking the initiative?
I am not disappointed. It is for the Congress party to think what role they want to play in this critical hour of the history of this country. If they don't want to play any role, why should I feel disappointed?
Okay, how do you see political developments and political realignments taking place in the next 1 or 2 months?
I can't say about it, because you know that political perceptions of the individual leading the different political parties are beyond my understanding. That is why I cannot analyze or can't give you a straightaway answer what will be the situation in a month or two.
Let me put it like this. Many people say that the day the opposition parties are prepared to accept Sonia Gandhi as a future Prime Minister, you could see a realignment against the BJP taking place. Are you prepared to accept her as PM?
No, that is not the question. It is not for me to make her PM or not to make her PM. Let the Congress party first decide what do they want, because I am not going to suggest them who should be the leader of the Congress party. It will be very wrong on my part to make some such suggestion to the Congress party. And
I accept that. Is there a problem in someone like her, an Indian citizen, but clearly not of Indian origin, becoming Prime Minister of India?
No, I think that the BJP will take advantage of it, but how much advantage they will be able to take, it is for the Congress party to assess and realize.
So in other words, if you end up throwing the BJP out of power and replacing it with a government with Sonia Gandhi as Prime Minister, events could play to the BJP's advantage.
No, it may play, it may not play, because it will not only depend upon the personality of Sonia Gandhi, how that government functions, that will be more important. And the functioning of the government depends upon the leadership provided and upon the parties who are able to join together to form a new government, their response to the problems of this nation.
In fact, you've said the critical thing. Can any government, not just a government with Sonia as Prime Minister, but any government that replaces the BJP, can it be stable?
No, it may be stable. I don't say that I am not very optimistic about it, because in difficult hours our people have got the tendency to work together unitedly in a cohesive manner. It has been the response of the Indian people in every period of crisis. So if they come to realize that a period of crisis has come, unfortunate situation is that most of the leaders in political parties are trying to tell the people that nothing is going wrong and everything is right. This is creating more problem than the critical situation that we are facing today.
Let me put a blunt question to you. Will this government survive the budget session that is now underway?
As the response of the opposition is today, it may survive. I can't say that I am very sure about it, because this government may go because of its own alliance partners. It is not only for the opposition to decide about it. The future can be decided.
And the danger will come over things like cut motions, principally.
I don't know whether cut motions are even, you know, the danger is inherent in the decisions that they have taken. For example, they have decided to create 3 states without thinking. Now today I saw in the press that in Uttarakhand there is going to be a problem. Akali Dal is thinking that they cannot support the government if the Uttarakhand is created with Udham Singh.
So you're saying the government itself is creating the problems that will bring it down?
That is right.
One last question. If the government survives the budget session, can it last to the end of the year, or do you think the danger then is October, November?
I tell you that the danger is more complicated, the more serious, because the government is trying, the way it is trying to function, they will try to infiltrate and they will create problems for the whole system of the parliamentary democracy. I am not bothered whether this government continues for a year or 2 years or 5 years. The way they have functioned, they will last 3 months. That is not the way parliamentary democracy
Explain this to me very quickly. Why are they creating a problem for the system of parliamentary democracy?
Because they believe in that. This is nothing new. This is expected from the philosophy that they adhere to.
So you're saying that in fact they don't know how to function as democrats?
I can't say that their whole perception of democracy is different from the known perceptions of the people who believe in democracy.
My last question, we've talked a little bit about the developments that are likely to happen in the next 2, 3, 4 months, but most of this interview in part 1 was about the Prime Minister, about his leadership, about the manner in which this government has handled the fallout of Pokhran, and what you think this government should do about Kashmir and the initiative it should take with Pakistan. Do you stand by everything you've said?
I stand by everything. I have never contradicted. I think that you know me for a long time. I am not a person who says something today and goes back on it tomorrow.
Mr. Chandra Shekhar, for that very outspoken interview, which I think a lot of people will listen to and learn from. Thank you very much.
The whole problem is that what I feel I say. I don't have to change my mind every minute because of the pressure from outside or from the exterior forces.
I understand. Thank you very much for speaking to In Focus. That's it for this week. In Focus will be back next week with another interviewee. But for today, from the Bharat Yatra Trust in Bhubaneswari, Haryana, goodbye.